If you're a long-time listener already, you already know what Roll TV is. However, if you're a first-time listener, you might actually find this very interesting. Roll TV, online video online platform that we actually put together, available at rollacademy.tv for all that are interested and want to take their jiu-jitsu to the next level.
Yeah, I definitely love it. From lesson plans, fully customizable. Most, if not all, the seminars we've done here at the Academy are there too, from high class practitioners. So definitely check it out. And there's a little coupon code too.
Oh, absolutely. If you want to get extra 30% off on the memberships, make sure you type in Roll Radio as the coupon and you get savings.
Who doesn't like saving money?
Welcome to Raw Radio.
Say it.
Yeah. Listen, let's establish this from early on. Just because you press one button doesn't mean you can tell me what to do.
Yeah, well, you press my buttons.
Shots fired. Whoa. Man, now you guys can officially hear what I have to put up at literally daily.
Yeah.
Daily.
Mm-hmm.
Daily.
I got this weekend off, though. This is my weekend off, so you'll have a couple day break.
No. It's my weekend off.
It's your weekend off? Yeah.
It's my weekend off.
Margaret's working 3 13-hour shifts in a row. It's her weekend off, too. I lost my notes.
Oh. So, last episode of the year.
Yes.
Last episode of the year. Braulio Estima.
Yeah.
Braulio Estima. What a phenomenal person. I always looked up to Braulio for many years, decades. At this point, he was always on my list to follow and really look at him as an instructor even from competition perspective. But after this conversation, now that was mind blowing.
Yeah.
First of all, he's so funny.
He is very funny.
He's funny. But number two, there's so many stories that he tells.
Great stories.
Yeah. And I like it because he has these analogies, these little things that he said.
He said, so something that you never, if you're a frequent listener, you heard Thomas and I discuss this. There's no use crying over spilled milk. Thomas had never heard that before. And Braulio brought it up. And so I now have backup on the spilled milk thing. He also talked about popcorn and how we all pop, right? We can, even though we could come off the same cob, we're going to pop at our own pace when we're ready, things like that. But I think what he talked about that I really found interesting was you search, you find. Mm-hmm. Is that what he said? Yeah. And I think that's very important.
Well, what do you search for?
Well, I mean, it applies to so many different things, right? We always talk about how does it apply to jiu-jitsu, and there's a billion different ways that it applies to jiu-jitsu, but how does it apply to you in your life? It seemed like he talked early on, about how he was searching for, even as a very young kid, what he wanted to be. And he went through different incarnations, but the whole time he was doing it, he didn't have these dreams. Well, he did, but they weren't just dreams. He was very concise about knowing where he needed to be and how he needed to get to fulfill those dreams. And when they weren't going to happen, now let's move on. He talked about like climbing mountains, and I think it was kind of the same thing, where you search for something that you want to do. You find that thing. But then, you really got to put in the work and everything along the way.
What do you search for?
Just looking it up. I mean, we know the kind of definition of it that we're always talking about, but here, I never to try and find something, but here's the important part for me: by looking or otherwise seeking carefully and thoroughly. And I think, I don't know what I search for, I guess, really. So many different things in in my adulthood mostly. I've tried a bunch of different professions. I've had a bunch of different hobbies. But it's that second part, that carefully and thoroughly thing that I think I was lacking a lot through a lot of those different things, where it was like, I'm going to give this a try, and then, it's hard, or
You mean
it's
like
not
shooting off
working
the
out.
hip?
Yeah, kind of.
Just give it a shot.
Just give it a shot. Yeah. Or not even that. You might even think you're going into it with a certain amount of dedication, but when it becomes hard, you take a step back instead of, okay, why? So this is something I've learned in jiu-jitsu is, okay, and I didn't want to bring it up during the episode, but I was thinking about it is, when I first really started exploring smash passing, I'm getting loop choked. So what do I think? Do I stop? My old self would have said, smash passing is not for me. I gotta figure this. I gotta move on to something else. Well, no, don't get loop choked is the new me. Search. So why am I getting loop choked? Figure that out. Okay. Guess what? It doesn't happen that much anymore because I know what to do correctly so that I'm never put in that situation. It's not defending the loop choke. It's making sure it's never an option for who I'm rolling with. So that's searching thoroughly. That's with like intent, searching with intent maybe. And that's something that I don't think I ever really had growing up. That wasn't something until I learned fairly recently in life.
I think this comes up fairly frequently, like the point of, this is not for me. This doesn't work for me for whatever reason. My legs are too short. My head is too big. My shoulders are too wide, whatever. I don't move in those. My hips are tight.
Yeah.
I have knee injuries, all that, all these reasonings. And then we move on to something else. I have to agree with you in a sense of, this didn't come to me until later in my life. And I'm thinking now if there was a pivot point for me where I really start thinking about why things happen. And I don't think I can pinpoint one specific event, but it was somewhere. Yeah, it was somewhere in the last 5-7 years or so, maybe 10. Yeah, no, last 5-7 years, I would say, where I start really looking at it as, okay, this doesn't work, but why? Why doesn't it work? Let me understand this. Let me figure this out. And then I can make an educated decision whether this is for me or not. I think these conversations take place quite frequently with instructors. I want to learn this, but this is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
This actually happens in classes, sometimes I hear that actually. Not recently, but I have heard it in the past, especially earlier on when I was on the student side of the mat, where it's like, oh, we're going to do takedowns. I'm going to skip this week. Mm-hmm. I'm not into takedowns,
Well, that's because your takedowns suck. Get into them, and then they'll be better. I still do that.
It's
man.
like we're doing spider guard this week. Oh, damn it! I hate spider guard. Well, why do you hate spider guard? Mm-hmm. In the last, I remember, this is a true story. And if any of my advanced students from my advanced program are listening, they're going to roll their eyes right now, because about, 8 months ago, we started exploring a sit-up guard as a big, big concept. And yes, it was 8 months. We've been on it for a while. And I think there was no exception. Every single one of them rolled their eyes at me saying, oh my God, what is this? And right now, all of them love it. So I think a big part of all of this, whether this is our personal life, jiu-jitsu, on and off the mat, is really, I always encourage to understand why things happen, and then we can make an educated decision. In my mind, okay, tell me, am I out of my mind here?
Yes.
How can you make... I know, thanks. How can you make an educated decision about something if you don't know what it is? If you don't know how it works, or you don't know, logistics of it?
You can't. You're just...
You make a preconceived judgment.
Yes, you're judging at that point, right? You're not... you're not making a good decision. You're just judging. You're judging the book by its cover or whatever you want to say. You don't. So spend some time with it. We talk about this a lot. Spend some time with it, investigate it thoroughly, and then you can make up your mind on whether or not you want to continue down that path. You know, you got to know some of it. You got to know, you can't know a certain position well without knowing how to defend it, and vice versa. So you got to spend time with everything. And you can't just dismiss stuff. I was going to say a little bit I still joke around about it, but it's like, I joke around that triangles aren't for me. Well, that's because I haven't put enough time into it really. And, they might be for me somewhere down the line. I've chosen to focus on some other things right now, but I've learned, or I've come to the point through searching through things thoroughly, that I know that any reason that I give you right now for why triangles aren't for me is just an excuse. It's not a real reason.
And let's be clear on this. There are situations in life and on the mat when things are not for us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that all jiu-jitsu is for you.
Right.
What I'm saying is understand how it works before you make that judgment.
Right now I'm making excuses. I'm not.
Don't become an expert. Just understand how it works. You might actually be surprised the success that you have with it, even though you didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's not for you, you just learn the skill how to defend it in case you are in it. Right? Just because the triangle is not for you does not mean the triangle is not for your partner and they're going to choke you out. Okay. I'm just like, these are important things. If you know how triangle works, you know what's going to happen when you're in it.
Yeah.
As by default, you can begin reverse engineering the whole concept and start picking it apart.
Yeah.
The logistics behind it are the same on both ends.
Yeah. I've never tapped anybody with a triangle, but I've taught privates to kids and watch them tap people out the next week because I explored it enough to put them where they need to be, put them on the right path, show them what to do. But I've never actually physically done it. And I watched.
Let's put a challenge out there.
What's the challenge?
Anybody who taps Gary out, I don't know. I'll give you
with
something.
what?
With a triangle.
With a triangle? I'm way better at defending him than I used to be too.
Oh, well, there you go. Gary is even accepting the challenge and putting a challenge back on you.
Somebody wise once said, "Don't get in one. That's how you defend it. Don't put yourself in a situation."
But you tap Gary out with a triangle, I'll hook you up.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. You don't put yourself in a triangle, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Does that mean don't ever be in somebody's closed guard? Does that mean never let them put one arm in, one arm out? Does that mean not, make sure that they're not behind my shoulder? Or make sure they are behind my shoulder, I should say. So I have to know about a triangle in order to defend it.
That's what Braulio was talking about, right? He was talking about Ezekiel specifically, but it's the same concept. If you understand how, let's just stay with this triangle, if you know how triangle works, if you know, even though you don't use them, you know the first one or two or three steps that your partner will execute in order for them to get to the triangle position.
Yep.
As a result of that, you can very efficiently defend that position very early on.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to be surviving while you're getting choked. You can actually defeat the whole thing early on,
right,
before it's fully executed.
Right. So when somebody says don't get put in that position, I mean, that can be a throwaway statement, but it could also mean search it out, explore it thoroughly, so that you know that you're not getting lucky by not being put in that position. You are making sure it doesn't happen. You're taking the necessary steps to shut it down before it happens.
Let's take a pivot here for this search it and find it analogy. How can we take this deeper beyond the techniques? How can we take this philosophy deeper beyond, still staying on the mat, and we still jiu-jitsu, but how can we do this beyond the techniques? How can we apply this more to a philosophy or to the journey of ours?
So what are you searching? How are you searching? I think it starts a lot with self. You have to be honest with yourself. are you really doing the work? You know, I think that's a big part of it. Are you really, when you're searching out answers, are you really doing the work, or are you looking for the quick fix? And I think that a lot of times, you know, people want that instant gratification. They want, you know, they do. And so you have to put in the work to find the answers. And a lot of times that opens up a box of worms. And now you got to dig through all that to find out if you're on the right path. It takes a long time to search, to find. It takes a long time to find something and truly find it and truly know it and explore it. It takes a really long time. And with that time comes work. Nothing, I think he said, and we often hear, nothing worth doing is easy. Is that what I'm trying to say? Or comes easy. Mm-hmm. Nothing worth doing or worthwhile comes easy. So I think that's a bigger concept there, but
if it was easy, everyone would do it, right?
Sure. You know,
that's why not many do.
No, and that's why most who start quit. That's, you know, and then most who don't quit, you know, they never really fulfill everything.
So in your mind, what should we be searching for when it comes to jiu-jitsu? I mean, you've been at this for how long now?
Too long to be where I'm at. But the first couple of years, I wasn't searching. It wasn't coming easy. And I was like, you know, what, you know, and I was doing the steps. I wasn't thinking conceptually. So those first couple of years of it were not putting in the work, and putting in the work doesn't mean just being on the mats all the time. That's a huge part of it, but you need to, figure out the why. Why aren't things working? Why isn't this for me? And that, I think, turns the focus back into yourself. Well, is it not working for me because I'm lazy? Is it not working for me because I'm not doing research outside of here? Is it not working because I'm not doing those small goals in order to get to the big one? There's a million. I think there's a lot of reflection that needs to be done while you're searching for things. And since I've started doing that, things are coming a little quicker, a little easier. Jiu-jitsu is more fulfilling. You know, it was funny. We were talking just a couple days ago where, you know, I had a private, I had some things that I was supposed to work on the next time I was at open mat. Everybody at open mat was a black belt or like a, you know, just these monsters, all advanced, super advanced guys. And so I was saying how, you know, things didn't really work out. And I think you thought I was saying I was kind of discouraged, but I wasn't. I was like, so what? I'll just come back next week and try it some more and try it some more and try it some more. Where I think in the past, and with a lot of people who we talked about who quit jiu-jitsu, as soon as things aren't working, they start making excuses. I could be discouraged. I could say it didn't work because three of the dudes there were black belts. 2 of them were college wrestlers. And, you know, everybody was 10 years or more younger than me. So those are those excuses. My reasons it didn't happen is because I haven't been giving enough time on and off the mats to make it work. So I'll be back next week to put more into it.
Yeah, I agree. It all starts, at least in my mind, it all starts with a goal. You know,
yeah, we talk about this all the time.
All the time. It's like beating a dead horse by now. Listen to 80 episodes, and there was always something about goals and setting goals and how to get through goals and how to achieve the goals and what to do there. But it is so fundamental. I think it is again. This is another thing that feeds into this. You know, maybe you're 10 years into your journey, or maybe you're 10 days into your journey. You still should have a goal. Those goals should be different, but you still should have one. You should understand what it takes to achieve that goal, and then you should set some milestones so you have achievable, you know, steps towards where you want to get. And the moment you achieve that goal, you reset it and you do it again.
How do you eat an elephant?
How you eat an elephant?
How do you eat an elephant?
Well, first you got to catch one.
Well,
you know?
You eat it one bite at a time.
You eat one bite.
And that is the same. Like
I find it interesting that out of all things, you find an analogy to eating.
Always.
So hold on, it's 2:50 as we're recording. Does this mean afternoon right now?
It's afternoon. No more. I'm not having coffee
Okay.
for the rest of the day.
Listen, another challenge for you guys. I'm gonna start giving stuff away just to. If you guys see Gary drinking coffee after 12 noon, I wanna have pictures.
Yeah.
Prove it. Prove it.
I probably will be drinking something with a little bit of caffeine just to get me through. Some herbal tea. Is that an excuse? Am I already making excuses? Qualifiers. I don't think I could do no caffeine afternoon, but I can't make that second pot at 2:30 in the afternoon.
I don't know who's working with you tonight, but I feel bad.
Let's get Ray on the mats. Ray Corona. Let's get him on the mats.
Listen, before we wrap this up,
did we even talk about what we were supposed to be talking about?
We're talking about searching and finding. But listen, before we wrap this up, no serious note. Jiu-jitsu is complex. Jiu-jitsu takes a lot of time. Jiu-jitsu takes a lot of effort. It's not only the first step that you take on the mat, but it's also the following steps after that for very, very, very long time. And it is one step at a time. I encourage you to find a goal, understand how to achieve that goal, and then be very, very self-aware whether you are or are not working towards that goal. And if you're not, you just might be wasting your time. Maybe it's time to reset, find a different goal, but don't be satisfied. Don't be satisfied with excuses and reasonings and what's happening around you. There's always a reason not to do it. Always.
Absolutely.
Always a reason not to do it.
Yeah, excuse, not a reason. There's always an excuse not to do it. So, all right.
Let's wrap it up.
I'm going to get off my soapbox. Peace.
Well,
Thank you for listening to Raw Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.